Dun, 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 dun. Good morning, everyone. How are we doing? It's Thursday, nearly the end of the week. A lot of news to cover today. Some breaking news that just came out as well about the licked. So I'm really excited for this. Really excited. How are we doing in the chat? Let me know. Let me know. Everyone having a good morning? Everyone done something fun? Or is it just same old, waking up just hoping, waiting for the weekend. Morning, Ronnie. How we doing, mate? Give it a minute, let some people filter through. And then we're going to be discussing a lot today. We've got a lot to talk about, boys. We got a lot. Everyone looking forward to Friday? I know I am. Can't wait for the weekend to start. Can't wait. Morning, WY. How we doing, pal? Hope we're doing good. Just going to give it another minute. Lots and lots of news. We've got ZIRKZEE, we've got Yoro, we've got Branthwaite, we've got some Mattis de Ligt news. We're going to be talking a lot about that. Spoons having breakfast watching my show. Cheers, pal. Really appreciate it, brother. Spoons breakfasts. Oh, God. Morning, Ahmed. God, I'd love a Spoons breakfast right now. Those are the days. Anyhow, are we ready for the stream to start? I shall. Let's dive right into this, shall we? Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the MPB Morning Show. I'm your host, Alex, at Alex Talks All, and I'm pleased to announce that the transfer window is officially wide open. That means Lenny Yoro, Jared Branthwaite, Joshua ZIRKZEE, Ivan Toney, Michael Elise, Mattis de Ligt, and even Dominic Calvert-Lewin will all be discussed on this stream today. If you're excited for all that, please let me know in the chat. Get involved in the discussion. Hit that subscribe button. Over 60% of you aren't subscribed to the channel. And of course, hit that like button. We're aiming for 50 likes today. I do apologise for the late start to the stream. A few technical difficulties, but we're getting into it now. But before we get into that juicy transfer news, we're going to be talking about Erik ten Hag's new role at Manchester United. Little whistle-stop tour, shall we? So yesterday, or was it this morning? It was either last night or just this morning. Fabrizio Romano reported that there is more than 90% chance that Erik ten Hag will sign a new contract at Manchester United. Discussions are still ongoing, but the contract length is expected to be until around 2027. So, first of all, we've established just how good Fabrizio Romano has been lately. He has been fantastic in his news coverage. But what's really interesting to me is 2027. It's a 3-year deal, 2.5-year deal, 3-year deal. That's really positive. That is investing in Ten Hag for the future and for so long to come. But the really interesting part of this tweet, and it sort of corroborates with what Duncan and Hurst Class have been saying, we'll talk about that later, is that it's the 90% chance. It's not 100% done. It seems to me that Erik ten Hag is briefing the media and letting people know, although he's been offered it, he needs his conditions to stay. Do you think Ten Hag should be in that power? Do you think he should be able to dictate what the terms of his contract are, or should he just be grateful he's being offered the contract in the first place? Busy Billion says, morning lad, he's a lucky guy. Surprised he's still our manager. I mean, the chat yesterday was very, very happy about Erik ten Hag staying at Manchester United. It was a very, very, very happy chat. Very, very, very happy chat. But let me know down below. Do you think he should be able to have that sort of power? He should be able to dictate the terms of his deal? I mean, if we look at what Yes is Busy Billions, let's have a little look, because if I remember correctly, let me find it. Hurst, Class and Dunker came out with quite a big brief yesterday. I'm assuming they got it from Ten Hag's side. I'm assuming they got it because it's all very pro Ten Hag. It's all very bit of a puff piece, I feel. But listen to this. Erik ten Hag is reluctant to cede power to Ineos when it comes to transfers. Ineos want to give more power to the recruitment team when it comes to signings, but it is written into Ten Hag's present contract that he has a veto on all potential purchases. Morning, David. How we doing, mate? But that to me is a really, really, really interesting piece. And it followed up with this. Erik ten Hag and his advisors are expected to take a bullish approach to contract negotiations with Ineos. Ten Hag will not blindly accept what is put in front of him and wants to feel empowered and not be a lame duck manager. So he wants signings to be made that improve the squad, and he wants them to be through the door before United begin their pre-season tour in the United States on July the 24th. Really interesting report. Hurst, Klaas and Dunker are excellent. I wouldn't mind some corroboration from perhaps The Athletic, from maybe a David Ornstein on this sort of approach he's taken. It's very clear Ten Hag's camp have gone to them, or there's a direct link between the two. This is not from Ineos' side. No way. No way. But let's break it down a little bit. The first report is about ceding power to Ineos in recruitment. Chat, let me know, should the man who bought Anthony for £90 million and instigated that be allowed to keep control over recruitment? Let me know. Let me know, because he wants, by the looks of it, a veto on all potential purchases. That's the key bit at the end. I don't think he really wants to say who he wants to bring in. Yes, he'd like an input, and that I think is completely fair. But I think he really wants that veto. He wants to say no to any transfers coming in. Chat, do you think that's fair? Do you think he should be allowed that power? Toulon says both parties will meet each other halfway. It can't be Erik ten Hag in full, neither can it be Ineos. I think Erik ten Hag should be allowed a substantial input. I think a veto is a dangerous precedent to set. That's sort of my issue. It's sort of my issue. I think it's not like in this new sporting structure where we've got the voices from the gods and Dan Ashworth, Jason Wilcox, who apparently made a tactical decision for Erik ten Hag. We'll get onto that soon. That's a huge, huge thing we need to talk about. Any update on ZIRKZEE to United, says Lebega? We have an update of sort. Toulon says Anthony was an important player in his system at Ajax. Why are people ignoring this? Because it's Ajax, mate. It's Ajax. I get the whole thing. Yes, he's great in a possession-based system. I get all that. Imagine if he had Elise at Ajax. Who do you think would play better, Elise or Anthony? I think it's Elise every single time. David McGrath says he can have his say, but I wouldn't give him 100% control. That's fair. WY agrees, and he says he should have a say, but not a big input. AZ London says prefer Todibo or Yoro over De Ligt. We're going to be talking about the centre-back situation very, very soon. That is a huge piece of news that's just come out. A huge piece of news. But also what Dunker and Hurst Klaas said is, let's go on to this. Sir Dave Brailsford was the one who was most keen to keep Erik ten Hag. This to me is really interesting because if you remember a while back, there was a report from I can't remember who. I think it was maybe Richard Fay. Maybe. Correct me if I'm wrong. Saying that David Brailsford was the one playing devil's advocate, saying get rid of Ten Hag. That was what he was arguing for. And Blanc, our CEO/acting board member of Ineos, was like, no, let's keep Ten Hag. So I find it really interesting that Hurst and Dunker have gone, no, David Brailsford was the main man who was pushing to keep him. Kadali says Tony is a Liverpool fan. Mate, the man's a mercenary. The man is a mercenary. He's a mercenary. Lebega says he shouldn't have a say. But yeah, when it comes to Tony, he'll go where the money takes him. He'll go where he's going to get started more. Boko says, can we sell Anthony, mate? I've been praying on that every stream. Every single stream. I think I launched a little bit of a sneak at Anthony. It's a bit of a shame for him. China's Way, I think that's how you say your name. Ten Hag out. 2 small trophies and give him a new contract with a charity club. May I remind you, sir, that Erik ten Hag is the most successful manager in the league after Pep Guardiola during his tenure. There is not a man more successful than Ten Hag, apart from the best manager football's ever seen. Sorry, best coach football's ever seen. Azelon says, exactly didn't Brailsford want to get rid of Ten Hag before? I think there's a balance to it. That's my big issue with this article. It's my big issue. It's all coming from Ten Hag. So, I want to see some corroboration or some discourse around it from other journalists, the Muppeteers. I'd love to hear their input on it. But yeah, The Athletic as well. They're great for these sort of things. They're really, really good with these sort of things. Adapa says, at this point, Ornstein and Fabrizio, the real ones. Make sure you're looking at the Muppeteers as well. Academy Scoop. These are some really, really good journalists. There are some good journalists about. It's not just Fabrizio and Ornstein. I think this article here has got a lot of credence to it. A lot of credibility. Dan Mazungu says 2 small trophies. Newcastle, Spurs, Everton and lots of other clubs would kill for those trophies. If we win 3 in a row, would you still complain? Mate, we're not Spurs. We're not Everton. Pal, I get it. Look, we're not been the best recently, but we're Manchester United, mate. We're the biggest club in world football. We can't just be dealing with 2 trophies. We can't be comparing ourselves to Spurs. We cannot just be comparing ourselves to Spurs. That's not going to work. That's not going to work. But looking at that Hurst article, the last thing I really want to pick up on is the way they're approaching transfers. Erik ten Hag is expected to ask Manchester United to sell Jadon Sancho. First bit of transfer news we're going to be talking about. It's pushed wide open. Ty Marshall from Men, the Manchester Evening News, reported today that the deals for Jadon Sancho and Mason Greenwood are moving along and they're progressing in their moves away from the club. Jadon Sancho is gone from Manchester United Football Club. I think it's pretty much dead in the water. I would say there's a 0.1% chance that he stays. Chat, let me know. How do we feel about that? How do we feel about that? I mean, personally, you know how much I love Sancho. I have a lot of love for Jadon Sancho. I think he'd be our best right winger if he came back to the club. I think he would have a role to play in this side. But let me know, chat. Let me know. Are you happy he's leaving? Are you happy he's leaving? Let me know. Let me know. Kadali says Fabrizio Romano was too slow about Man United news. He's accurate about United. He's not great in... No, he's a fantastic journalist, but I think he tries to be on the safer side nowadays, just due to how big his credibility is. Huda says, question, Alex, do you fancy De Ligt, mate? Give me 2 minutes. We'll be going straight into the centre-back talk, because De Ligt was, has just been mentioned by Plettigol, and I think it's quite big to talk about. Boca says, we are scouting good players, ending up buying rubbish. Huda says, take bad attitude away from the team. Lachlan is excited. No, not happy is your favourite player. Yeah, I think Jadon Sancho is one of those players, you know. He balls out in a Champions League semi-final, both legs. He does brilliantly in a Champions League final, yet he fails to deliver on the big stage consistently. It's sort of my issue with it. So, any more comments on the manager situation? How are we feeling about Erik ten Hag's reduced role as our head coach? Do you think he should be in line with trying to push that veto? Dan Mazungu says, the major issue with Jadon is you just said he would be our best right winger, but he wants to play left wing, and I'm not convinced he is better than Amad. Jadon Sancho at the moment is better than Amad Diallo. He is better than Amad Diallo. Oh, pardon me, sorry, I'm very hay fevery today. Sorry. Amad has more potential and he will reach that, but Jadon Sancho right now is the best right winger at the club, but he can play right wing. He can play right wing. He's played it for Dortmund all season. When he's happy, he's very, very, very willing to sacrifice himself for the team. Very, very willing. And guys, if you're excited to talk about Matthijs de Ligt now, the breaking news that just dropped from Plettigol, please leave a like on the video. 60% of you aren't subscribed who are watching this, so please, if you don't want to miss my daily 11 a.m. streams or 11:15 today, hit that subscribe button and never miss a beat. So, moving on to the centre-back situation at Manchester United. Plettigol announced at 10:50 today that Manchester United are closely monitoring the situation of Matthijs de Ligt. Erik ten Hag is still a big fan of de Ligt, who will still be allowed to leave Bayern Munich for a suitable offer. Chat, how do we feel about this? How do we feel? First impressions. Before we dive into it, Matthijs de Ligt is a potential prospect, the 24-year-old, a man who's played under Erik ten Hag before, an absolute monster physical specimen, certainly raises our physical floor quite substantially. I have questions in how he'd play in a high line. I'm not that familiar with him. So someone let me know how mobile he is. But yeah, chat, let me know. Matthijs de Ligt. The Dutch Maguire, says AZ London. I prefer Todibo or Yoro. You know what? I don't think it's actually a diss to call him the Dutch Maguire. I personally think that's a compliment. Ahmed says we should buy de Ligt. It seems to me, though, we're just talking about Erik ten Hag's role in transfers. Ty Marshall also said that ten Hag was working in Ibiza, making contributions to the transfer sort of strategy. It absolutely screams Erik ten Hag's input. I don't think the club would look at de Ligt if it wasn't for Erik ten Hag. Price will matter, say Pandy. That's a really good question. How much would you pay for De Ligt? How much would you pay? I mean, he's going to cost a fortune in wages. Bayern Munich pay him so much money. He is a mentality monster, says Huda. He had a really good connection with the fans at Ajax, didn't he? He had a really good question. Not more for 40 million. I'd definitely consider him. 40 million pounds for Matthijs de Ligt would be a really good deal, I feel. When Branthwaite's like 60, 70 million at the moment, Lenny Yoro's pushing 50, you've got Bremer around the same price. 40 million pounds for, 40 million. Everyone's quite a big fan of De Ligt in this chat. Zero says Kadali does not want him at all. But to me, this shows that Erik ten Hag really is putting a lot of pressure on Ineos, and he wants his players. I don't know how happy I am with the fact that, I was really quite comfortable in the idea that Erik ten Hag was becoming the coach of United. He was becoming the coach of Manchester United, and he'd be given players so a few years ago, you'd all remember the famous story, Jurgen Klopp wanted to sign Julian Draxler, was given Sadio Mane and Mohamed Salah instead. Look at how genius of a move that is. But if Liverpool had bent to Klopp's demands, if Michael Edwards had bent to Klopp's demands, would Liverpool have been where they are today? I doubt it. So I really wish that this club would ignore Ten Hag. I know he wants to be backed. I know there's not a lot of trust between the two parties. But I think Ineos need to gain his trust by not bending to his will. Adapa says, but he isn't comfortable playing out from the back. He's an Erik ten Hag centre-back. He came up from Ajax. So I disagree. I do think he has the capability to play out from the back. We should go for Todibo, says Lebega. Again, we'll be talking about Todibo very soon. About some negative news regarding Todibo as well. The lister says Todibo, Kerkez, Teo Hernandez, Jao Neves and Hoyland, ZIRKZEE, Coman, Kudus, Frimpong, and actually Felix and a partridge in a pear tree to United is better. Mate, we have a whole new starting 11. Ain't Football Manager, mate. It ain't FIFA. I love the ambition, but no. What's with the tutting before every sentence, says Sean. It's just the way I speak, mate. I'm sorry. Oh, yeah, no. It's a little tick. Sorry, mate. 60 million is realistic, said Ahmed. I think 60 million is a bit too much, personally. Just a little bit too much. 30 million pounds on McTominay. We're keeping Scott McTominay at this football club. He is a good signing as long as we sign Todibo, says Huda. As long as De Ligt isn't the only signing for us this summer, then yeah, centre-back signing this summer, I'd be happy with it. A lot of Todibo fans in this chat. Good Lord. A lot of Todibo fans in this chat. Todibo should be the first centre-back through the door, says David McGrath. Panty says, honestly, Lenny Yoro will prefer Real Madrid over us. Well, it's interesting. So we can do a little bit of a centre-back talk now. Because obviously De Ligt. So let me quickly find it. But Dean Jones Soccer yesterday released a report on the centre-back targets of Manchester United. Let's have a little look into that. He reported that Lenny Yoro is back on the table for Manchester United after an expected move to Real Madrid failed to emerge. He also said that Jared Branthwaite is open to joining Manchester United. However, United are in a position where they do not intend to cave in over Everton's demands. Everton are remaining stubborn over his valuation, and United's current stance of being willing to offer 45 million to 50 million pounds does not suit the Toffees. Ladies and gentlemen, let me know in the chat, who would you rather have at Manchester United? Say we could only sign one. Jared Branthwaite, Lenny Yoro, or Matthijs de Ligt. Let me know in the chat, who would you prefer? Not Todibo, because we're not being really that linked to him. We'll get on to Sam C from the United Stands report. Excellent reporter. He said that we actually prefer Branthwaite over Todibo at the moment. So look, we'll discuss that in a bit more in a bit. But first, let's focus on these three bigger names who seem to be the intended players we're going after at centre-back. God, you lot love Todibo. Sean says Todibo is very good and a more aggressive version of Varane with better passing, but he lacks aerial ability. Could we pair him with Licha? You're listing things that don't really work with Lisandro Martinez. We don't want a more aggressive version of Varane. We want a cupboard centre-back. That's really what we want. But he lacks aerial ability. Yeah, he does. He does. And Remember the FA Cup final, the first 30 minutes, it was an onslaught of balls into our, maybe 20. Before Garnacho's goal, I remember so many balls coming in over the top. So many balls. And Varane would head every single one of them away. Every set piece, he was there. Every cross in the box to Haaland, he was there. That's what we need. If we're losing Varane, we have to bring in an equivalent of a box defender. And that's why I fancy a De Ligt. Because he is a huge presence. So I'm sort of... I know how confident I was in us moving for Todibo. And I still think we will. But I do think, yeah, he's cheap. He's 25 million, 30 million pounds. But is there a reason for that? We don't need that sort of profile in our box. Yoro and De Ligt would be good too, IMO. My stance on the centre-back deals this summer is that Lenny Yoro and Jared Branthwaite we need to bring to this football club. I'm watching more and more of Lenny Yoro at the moment. He's wonderful. Oh my God, what a player. Oh my God, he is a monster. Maybe not as progressive on the ball as, say, a Todibo is or an Inacio is, but oh my God, what a defender. He is marvellous, truly. He will be remembered, in my opinion, in 10 years' time, 15 years' time, the same way we remember Terry, the same way we remember Kompany, Vidic, Ferdinand, Ramos, Pepe. He will be in the same breadth as those players. I promise you that. Huda says De Ligt needs a manager that backs him and he would show everyone how good he is. At 19, he was a bigger talent than Yoro. Ten Hag would make him great again. That's really interesting, mate. That's interesting because I do forget that. You do forget that like 5 years ago, before we had that sort of downward trend at Bayern, De Ligt was one of the most highest centre-backs in the world, the same way Yoro is now. So, hey-ho. Hey-ho. Let me know any more opinions on how I just described Yoro. I can imagine it's going to cause a little bit of controversy in the chat. Daniel McCarthy says, apparently Rashford is going. Is that on... Where have you heard that, mate? Where have you heard that? I'll have a little look, but... Where? Where have you seen that? I mean, look at Donny. Nothing has arrived after Erik Ten Hag arrived. Well... Adapa, I raise you in the fact that when it comes to Donny van der Beek, Erik Ten Hag didn't sign him. Erik Ten Hag seems to be actively gunning for Matthijs De Ligt. Actively gunning. I just think he'll be quite a lot of money, unfortunately. I just think it'll be a bit too much. Malman says, with £35 million, how could we get Elise, Toney and Branthwaite? There's almost... 200 million in players right there. Oh, you're referring to the... what is it? It's the Hearst Class report saying that we only have £35 million in gross revenue. Guys, if you see anything on budget this summer, tend to not... Don't ignore it, but sort of be very suspicious of it. No one knows the budget. We will all guess, and I'm sure it's a very educated guess from Hearst. I'm sure it's a very educated guess. I'm certain it is. But I wouldn't pay too much attention. Player sales are necessary. I think we can fund a move for Yoro, a move for Todibo, maybe not Branthwaite as current evaluation, without a sale of a centre-back. By selling another one, say a Maguire, for £40 million odd, maybe a Lindelof, yes, maybe we'll be able to afford another one. Yoro is the new Desai. I mean, that's even more praise than I was giving Sean. Kadali says, Bayern Munich, £80 million for De Ligt? No. No, half that, we can talk. Half that, we can talk. Dan Mazungu says, if Marcus left, we could always get the Crystal Palace wingers for £130 million. Don't let... Marcus Rashford is not leaving the football club this summer. And if he did leave, we'd be looking at someone a lot bigger than Elise or Eze. We'd be going straight after a Rafael Leao, I promise you. Malma says, actually, I do think we've got over £250 million, not £35 million. I think it's less than that. I reckon our net spend will be like 100, 125. I think it makes sense, especially when selling Mason Greenwood and Jadon Sancho. And both seem to be really quite close. We'll talk about sales in a little bit, but I'm really excited to talk about some incomings first. And speaking, we spoke about Sam C earlier from the United stand. He had a bit of a report yesterday. He said Michael Elise, Jared Branthwaite and Ivan Toney are primary targets for Manchester United this summer. He also goes on to say that Manchester United are considering Dominic Calvert-Lewin. That's a fun name. And also that we prefer Branthwaite to Todibo. Chat, let me know. First reactions to that. Are you happy with those primary targets? Would you be happy if Dominic Calvert-Lewin came in? I mean, speaking of the striker situation, let's look at what we're saying about Joshua ZIRKZEE. Gary Jacobs from The Times says, Manchester United and Arsenal have been considering a move for Joshua ZIRKZEE, who has a £34 million release clause. AC Milan have also been keen. I mean, guys, be quite careful about the £34 million release clause. It's more like 50 because there's agent fees on top of that as well. There's agent fees to think about. Huda says, Alex, would you take De Ligt and who would you think his ideal partner would be? I would take De Ligt. I do think he would partner really well with Lisandro Martinez. I do think that would work. You could do a lot of the ball progression to Lisandro. Give a lot of the cover box defending to De Ligt. It's a really nice pairing, I feel. I think they complement each other quite well. But chat, let me know, are you happy with our primary targets, the players who Ineos are really quite certain they want to sign this summer, being Elise, Branthwaite and Toney? Let me know, chat. Let me know. David McGrath saying we need to get a few players out the door first, get a few quid in and then go from there. I mean, that's why we're looking at Mason Greenwood. That's why we're looking at Sancho. And I think all this talk about them moving out means we are looking at Elise. I mean, we'll talk about that more in depth soon, but I think there's a lot of smoke to fire with Elise. There's a lot of fire to that smoke. Josh Clark says, for me, Morata is a must. Will cost around £10 million and has publicly said he wants to leave as he's not in Atletico Madrid's plans. Pandy says, Branthwaite is too expensive. Interesting thing about Branthwaite, look at what Dean Jones said. We are not intending to cave in over Everton's demands. We're willing to offer 45 to £50 million, which to me is very fair. That's a very fair sum to pay for Branthwaite. I think max you go to is £60 million, and that's including add-ons. I don't think you go any higher than that. I don't think you should. So when it comes to Branthwaite, we know they need to sell and generate funds by, what was it, the 1st of July or 30th of June? We're waiting. We will happily wait for the last few days, and then like that, the deal accelerate. Branthwaite himself is open to joining Manchester United. There is definitely interest from our side in him. Adapa says, do you fancy Maximilian Bier as a backup striker? I watched a little bit of him last night. Absolutely rapid. Quite a powerful player. Decent goal scorer. Yeah. He got 15, 13 goals last season. He could definitely do a job as a backup striker. I haven't watched enough of him though. I know Goldbridge is quite high on him. WY Sancho and Greenwood will leave anyway, though it's nothing to do with Elise. Sancho won't play for this manager, and you know why Greenwood will leave. I do think it has everything to do with Elise. If you listen to the Muppeteers talk, if you listen to Fabrizio talk, they're all saying how closely entwined the Greenwood, Sancho, Elise sort of, not love triangle, but situation is. So yeah, I do think it's quite close. Cubis, welcome back to the stream, my friend. My personal choice to go after young, talented players like Yoro, Neves, Doué, Elise, and we have a young core that will grow together with Mainu, Garnacho, and Højlund, and add veterans from there. We're definitely building a young core. Pandy says our left back option at the moment, throw Lisandro Martinez out there and get a Branthwaite and throw him out there at times. And let Amas come through the ranks. That's how I do it. WY says those two will leave anyway, but it's how quick they leave. I think we're really trying to push for those two to leave at this point. But let's have a little look. We've spoken quite a little bit about the centre-back situation. Let's focus today on the striker situation at Manchester United. Our backup striker, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, Ivan Toney. Oh, pardon me, sorry. And Joshua ZIRKZEE. Out of those three strikers, who would you have to be the backup to Rasmus Højlund? To me, straight off the bat, if price wasn't an issue, you grab Joshua ZIRKZEE. He's a very different profile to Rasmus Højlund. I think the other two strikers, I think his back to goal play is excellent. I think he sort of is more of a facilitator. I think he would allow Rashford to shine. I think he would allow Bruno to shine. I think he wouldn't bring as many goals himself, but he would allow other players to really maximise their goal output and really maximise their efficiency. So that's who I'm looking towards. I know there's the argument Toney and Dominic Calvert-Lewin are Premier League proven, and that's something that they're really looking at. They're both English. Like, Ineos wants to build a British core. I get that. But look, I do think Joshua ZIRKZEE is the better option. Chat, let me know. If you're enjoying the stream so far, can we try and hit 25 likes? We're 10 likes away from that. There's so many of you in here right now. Please leave a like down below. Would really appreciate it. His link-up players class, exactly. He would allow others to be the best versions of themselves. Huda says Dybala would also suit our false number 9 play, as Ten Hag uses it often, and he would cost £12 million. I don't think if we're looking at a false 9 to really bring in, I don't really think Dybala is the player we're going to look at. I think Antoine Griezmann. If we're going to go that route, it'll be Griezmann. He costs like, what, 10, £12 million to bring in. John Mama says impressive ball control on Bier. He does not have the Lukaku first touch. Oh dear. I have a bit of an agenda against Romelu Lukaku. I have a bit of an agenda against the man. Dan says Toney. Cuba says it depends on what Erik Ten Hag wants. If he wants a different type of player, ZIRKZEE. But if he wants someone similar that can plug and play to sub Højlund, go after Max. If you want to sort of sub that, ooh, yeah, no. Again, would you rather have, here's a question, a Maximilian Bier, quite an unknown sort of player, £27 million. Would you rather bring in Ivan Toney or Dominic Calvert-Lewin? People who are Premier League proven. Let's ignore ZIRKZEE, because Dominic Calvert-Lewin, Ivan Toney, I think, in a very similar bracket. I think Bier is relatively comparable. Let me know. Are those two, who would you rather bring in? Chat? Kadali says Everton, £15 million for one good player is a lot of money. Yeah. Dan says technically doesn't matter what kind of player Ten Hag wants. It matters the profile of players at the club. They're very much linked though. I think that's the thing. We're going to really tell, I feel, from the next few days which players we're pursuing, and it will really tell us how much control Erik Ten Hag has over Manchester United. I think it's going to be absolutely key. Talk to you about ZIRKZEE, pal. Let me hit you. Joshua ZIRKZEE. How old is he now? He's like 24, 25, 26, I think, if I'm not mistaken. He had a great season under Thiago Motta. He proves that he can play in that sort of progressive style of football. He sort of sits between the back line and the midfield. He sort of sits like in that sort of shadow striker 10 sort of role. Receives the ball really well on the back to play. He's really good at receiving the ball from all angles. Facilitates wingers really nicely. But the one thing he's really good at is, if you look at Ferguson, one of Bologna's standout players this season, he got, I think, double-digit goals. He was wonderful. Third man runs, very Scott McTominay, Kai Havertz-esque at crashing the box, scoring goals. ZIRKZEE 22, apologies. He really helped facilitate that. And the way in which Erik Ten Hag utilises his midfielders. Look at the profile of number 8s we have. Mason Mount, Bruno Fernandes, Scott McTominay. Those sort of players who love to get in and around the box, be on the edge, crash and make those third man runs. Sort of what ZIRKZEE's brilliant at, facilitating those sort of players. And even Kobbie Mainoo, Ten Hag makes a conscious effort to get him in and around the box. Look at the Liverpool goal. Left hand side of the box, curled it in top corner. Kobbie Mainoo came through the academy, being in a double pivot, being wonderful at progressing the ball, or being an 8 who dropped deep to get the ball, collect it, and move it up. But nowadays, he's making third man run. Look at what he did against City. FA Cup final. Running into the box, picking the ball off Bruno Fernandes. That's what Erik Ten Hag wants his 8s to be. And that's what ZIRKZEE is brilliant at facilitating. So when it comes to Joshua ZIRKZEE, yeah, that's him. And that's why I'm quite high on him to come to United. I know he's got his mental issues, not in the sense of like mental health, but like his mentality, his commitment to football. I know he had issues at Bayern when he was there. So, yeah. Dan says, I would say I do like this striker from Wolves. He's a bit of a shithouse as well. Cunha's a funny one. I know I talk about like not wanting a Gabriel Jesus sort of striker in the sense that They're more about facilitating play rather than scoring goals themselves. But I'm coming more around to the idea that we need a different profile of striker up front. And I want a striker that gets the best out of Rashford, gets the best out of Garnacho, that allows them to be as efficient as possible. Because I don't think Højlund could do that to the extent ZIRKZEE can do yet, at least. Yeah. Kiyati says, if ZIRKZEE goes to Milan, we should bring in TONEY, and Solanke needs to be in the conversation too. Dominic Solanke will never come. Solanke will never come. He's either a Scouser or he was at Liverpool for a bit, wasn't he? If I'm not mistaken. Origami says, welcome back to the stream, my friend. Bier is versatile, can play in any position in the forward line. ZIRKZEE TONEY is a more link-up player, so it will depend on what the club needs. Ivan TONEY is not just a link-up player. That man broke the championship record of goals in the regular season. That man scores. Dan says, question, Rasmus, Alejandro, Kobe, should these be starters or drip bed into the team? They're already starters. Kobe Mainoo is a starter. Rasmus Højlund is a starter. Alejandro Garnacho started, more games than... Someone check this up for me. Don't leave the stream. Get your phone out. Get your laptop out. Don't leave the stream. Search up who started the most games for United this season. I can assure you Garnacho's up there. Alejandro Garnacho is a starter at Manchester United. He's a regular player in and out of the rotation, 100%. 100%. ZIRKZEE for £34 million is a bargain. Remember with ZIRKZEE, he's going to cost you around 50. He's going to cost you around £50 million because of the agent fees. So you've got to take that into account. Harry Kane-ish player saying a dapper. I mean, I'm assuming this is about ZIRKZEE. I wouldn't say he's a Harry Kane-esque player. No. I think there's certainly some attributes he has. Like, K drops a lot deeper than ZIRKZEE does. Remember, Kane can come back into midfield where the 6s and the 8s are sort of dropping into. ZIRKZEE comes back to where the 10 can be and operate those sort of zones. So, no, they're not the same sort of player, but I understand where you've got the comparison from. David says, just had my ACL reconstructive surgery yesterday, so going to be listening to a lot of Man United content. Thanks, mate. Oh, mate, get well soon, pal. Chat. Wish David a good recovery. Hope you're in here every day, mate. 11 a.m. Give me a shout. Say hi. Let me know how you're doing. I want to know how you're doing, pal. Hope you're doing well. Gummers Benjamin says, I like the look of that German striker. Yeah, but yeah, I think it's always nice when you see these like rogue names be sort of brought into the conversation. It shows that we've got a really, really, really deep scouting department. I think that's what it shows. Cuba says, I think Garnacho is the second most played teenager in top 5 leagues behind Yoro. Good God. I mean, again, it's sort of why I'm such an advocate for Yoro as well. Some people in the chat are trying to tell me, oh, he's not ready to start in the Premier League. Yes, he is. Garnacho is, so is Yoro. Garnacho started about 47 games in a row. I think it was like 37. I don't think it was 47. I think he would have killed over and died by that point. Garnacho is younger than me. He's got that youthful spirit in him. But good Lord. No, I don't think so. Dan's wishing you a good recovery, mate. And guys, if you're enjoying the video so far, please do remember to hit a like on the video. We're aiming for 25 likes today. Having a really enjoyable stream so far. Having a really good conversation about the striker situation at the moment. Question to the chat. Does anyone here want Dominic Calvert-Lewin? I'm intrigued. I don't. I know he's Premier League proven. I do think he's quite injury prone. And that's sort of my main concern with him. You don't want to buy a backup striker just for them to get injured. I don't want another... I love Martial. A lot of love for Anto. I do think him being injury prone in the last few weeks, months of his United career really hurt us. It really hurt us. So let me know, chat. Let me know. Hell no, says Kiarte. No, I didn't expect people to be keen. I didn't expect people to be keen on him, to be honest. Oh, pardon me. So, shall we... Oh, God, you lot do not want him at all, do you? Locked on Charles says Everton are looking to replace him. David Mamor says, I don't want him, no thanks. Says Ed Elaluz. God, my ideal striker that I would like to bring in would be Evan Ferguson, but that just isn't going to happen. Ferguson will move next year. Mark my words. Mark my words. He's going to start a lot more next year under that 31-year-old, guys, by the way. A 31-year-old going to be managing in the Premier League. That, to me, football's gone. Football's gone so woke. I love it, but oh my God, it's gone so hippie. It's gone so hippie. Cuba says Garnacho is one of only 3 teenagers to play more than 2,500 outfield minutes across Europe's 5 major leagues, alongside Valencia's Christian Mosquera, might have butchered that, and Lille's Lenny Yoro. Exactly. Don't tell me Lenny Yoro shouldn't be the first name on United's shortlist. DCL more like ACL, says Sean. Yeah. I get it. Shall we talk a little bit about outgoings, everybody? A little bit about outgoings. I have to end the stream relatively early today, guys, so we've probably got 10 more minutes left, but after that, I'm going to have to dip. But let's have a little quick whistle-stop tour through outgoings. Simon Jones said yesterday, Juventus have expressed firm interest in Mason Greenwood. Manchester United value him around £40 million. Again, the Juventus rumours are heating up. Ty Marshall said this morning that it's moving along quite nicely. That's perfect. That's really good. I think it's ideal. £40 million, getting him out of the way, going to Juventus, building a strong relationship with them, considering we might be looking at bringing Bremer in later this summer. To me, ideal. Absolutely ideal. Other outgoings we need to talk about. There's quite a few that have been mentioned, if I'm not mistaken. We expected to sell Jadon Sancho as well. So those are our 2 main outgoings we're looking at the moment. Chat, let me know if you could sell another player this summer, not called Jadon Sancho, not called Mason Greenwood, and not one of the any other players leaving. Who would you sell if you were given the absolute control of it? To me, if I was to choose one player to sell, it would be Victor Lindelof. Actually, no. Sorry. I lie. It would be Anthony. I would sell Anthony in a heartbeat. Malmo says rumour of 12 players leaving. No shot. No shot of 12 players going to be leaving the club. Max like 7 or 8. I promise you. Max like 7 or 8. Lachlan says, have you heard of Matt O'Reilly? He plays as a midfielder for Celtic and he is pretty young. We heard some rumours about Matt O'Reilly recently. I swear there were some rumours about Matt O'Reilly. W. says Casemiro or Anthony. Yeah, either or. I think Casemiro rumours will start heating up soon. I can see Casemiro rumours heating up soon. Anthony or Casemiro, yeah, again. God, we don't like the Brazilian cohort United, do we? Also, guys, if you're enjoying the stream, please do leave a like on the video. It means a lot to see your support. As well, over 50% of you aren't subscribed to the channel. So if you don't mind, hit that subscribe button and never miss one of my daily 11 a.m. streams. Anthony Casemiro, Harry Maguire. Harry Maguire is a name. We will be moving a centre-back on this summer. And I think the player who's most likely to leave out of all of them, in luck for you, my friend, will be Harry Maguire. Ed Laluz, Rashford, just due to the coin we'd receive. Marcus Rashford isn't leaving the club. And even if he would be, how much do you think we get for him? His stock's at an all-time low. I think it would be £75 million max you'd get for Rashi. At the highest end, you'd be looking at 85. I just don't think it's enough money to make it worthwhile selling him, if you know what I mean. Cuba says Rashford 100 million or above bid comes in. Not because I hate him, but he has the most selling value. We need to get as many new players as possible. Who would you buy to replace him? Garnacho, sure, he can come through the ranks. And I think he's ready, but who would you buy as a replacement? Backup. I think that's my issue with Rashford. I think the left wing market is so... It's quite sparse at the moment, to be honest with you. What do I think on the Greenwood situation? It's good that he's leaving. He is, whether you love him or hate him or you don't really care about him, he brings unnecessary noise to the football club. And it's not really it's not something we need at the club. Imagine away days. Just imagine, or away fans coming to the stadium. Imagine the songs they'd sing. No. It's an unnecessary distraction, in my opinion. It's an unnecessary distraction. Dan says, even if you would get a lot for Marcus Rashford, you've also got to replace the potential of 30 goals a season on the left-hand side. Very, very, very soon, Alejandro Garnacho will be bringing those numbers. I promise you. Very, very soon, Garnacho will be bringing those numbers. I promise you. I promise you. Any last thoughts, guys? I've got to run off today. I'm really sorry. This was a lot shorter than usual. We had to start a bit late as well. I have to run off. But are there any last things we've got? Any last comments? I'll respond to 2 more questions. Anyone's got any burning questions about Manchester United, let me know. Gomez Benjamin says, we're not buying any player for over 25 years. We have, my friend. We have. Kiva says, I would replace Rashford with ZIRKZEE. Do it. Chelsea are looking at him, aren't they? I swear every club in Europe are looking at him. I swear every club in Europe are looking at him. But guys, I'm really, really sorry. I do have to run off now. It's been an absolute pleasure being on stream with you today. Please hit that subscribe button on the channel. Follow us on mufcMPB on Twitter, as well as Alex Talks All on Twitter, so you never, ever miss a stream in any piece of Manchester United news. It's an absolute pleasure. I'll see you all tomorrow at 11 a.m. See ya.